So as you guys already know, the World Cup is going on right now, and I actually have a full house, and things are incredibly nationalistic, especially where I live in Miami. Everybody else is from somewhere else, and trying to get back to their own country, especially, having the nostalgia of watching soccer right now. So if you hear screaming in the background, it's because somewhere, some country scored a goal, so you know how it goes. It is what it is. So as you guys should know by now, I'm a huge Deadpool and Wolverine fan, or Wolverine and Deadpool. I never get that straight, but nevertheless, I do love this movie. I think it's one of the most entertaining movies, just in terms of breaking the fourth wall and just the emotion regarding this Wolverine character, which is really cool. Certain iterations in the movie were fantastic, and I actually reviewed the brown tan version of this, and I've been waiting for this for a while, and it actually took a lot longer to get into the studio than I had anticipated, but nevertheless, it is here today. I'm very excited about this. Like I said, Wolverine and the X-Men get a lot of love on this show, so definitely going to show a little bit of love for this one, which again, I don't know why. It just scenario after scenario, this thing got delayed so many times, but it is here right now, so we're gonna review it. So today we're gonna be reviewing Hot Toys version of Deadpool and Wolverine, the 1/6 scale figure. Let's take a closer look. I remember watching the trailer for this movie and thinking, are they gonna do it? Are they gonna do it? And they certainly did. They brought us the live action version of the iteration that we've seen in the comics for years, at least growing up. Now the head sculpt on this one is absolutely fantastic. Just the vibrant colors. I love the cowl. What I especially like is the textures here, and of course those whited out eyes look absolutely spectacular, but everything is in the detail here. Now if you look closely, people say that Wolverine's mask looks like two Batman profiles linked together or kissing. It's really funny. I love the grit, the grime in the teeth. The beard stubble is really fantastic, and the textures look great. This is an amazing head sculpt. So I really like what they did here with the midsection and upper torso of this piece. One of the things that I like about it, obviously, is the color palette. It's just magnificent. But even within the color palette, the washes on here look really fantastic. In terms of textures, they're highly detailed, which I always like because, these costumes, I think, look really more lifelike when they have textures with them. Cool thing about the shoulder armors, they're actually magnetic, and unlike the Hot Toys Star Wars figures, they actually do magnetize very well, so to speak. I also love the textures in the skin. Just look at that. Look at the veins. The imperfections look really fantastic. I mean, this is really nice the way they did this. There are some alternate arms there, but overall, this looks really great. I also love the centerpiece there. It is a focal point and it has that wonderful X on his belt. It is painted in this kind of like brilliant red, which really makes it stand out. Again, it looks really cool offset against the blue and the yellow. This is a fantastic suit, something we've always wanted. Now, I have been kind of hit or miss. I have my own feelings about the adamantium claws. Sometimes I think that, in order to save costs, they make them kind of plasticky. This is a very strange in-between. They're not necessarily plastically, they're definitely not metal, but they don't feel cheap. And I do love the finish of them in this high polished silver. It looks really cool. And everything looks very flush, which is really nice. Still, I am kind of used to getting the metal ones, which would be really fantastic, but of course, it does raise the price for these figures if they have to use metal. Now, the lower section of this piece is fantastic as well. This is one unibody suit, which is really great, but it is flexible, which is pretty fantastic. So if you wanted to get some dynamic poses, you can certainly do so. One of the things that I really like, aside from the color palette, is the armor sets. They are modularized. Things like the knee pads look really great. Even the striations within the figure is really cool. And if you look really closely, you can see that they did a nice wash. The boots are spectacularly done as well. I love that dark blue offset against the black, and the straps, of course, are really cool, where you see the buckles click. Overall, this is an impressive lower section of this figure, and I really like it. Now, here's something weird about this backside. So he does have an alternate torso for some body damage. Now, because of it, it clicks onto this thing really weird, and it means that the reverse side is kind of hanging out a little bit. I don't know, there's this really weird gap, and it makes him look like he's got these huge lungs. It's really weird. Now, there is some really good detail in terms of the skin and textures. Look at those triceps, look really cool. But again, this section of it looks kind of funny. Little fan service to speak of there. It is Wolverine, and then you also see that he attaches to the base with a nut grabber, and you get a better appreciation of how he actually stands on the base. That back centered area looks a little bit weird, so just keep that in mind. Now, we do have the traditional hexagonal base, which is really fantastic, and again, the concept is very simple. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It does have a nice lithograph of Deadpool's mask and of course his adamantium claws coming through it, which looks really cool. On the lip of the base it does read Wolverine, and on the actual lithograph itself it does read Wolverine and Deadpool, and I will finally get this right. This is a really nice base, and most importantly he can stand on the base, so you know, oblong bases in the early Hot Toys figures were a bit of a pain in the ass. Now, unlike the tan and brown figure, which looked really funny in terms of the head sculpt, this one looks a little bit better. I think the sculpt is better. I thought it was going to be the same one that they were going to use, but this one actually looks a little bit more movie accurate. The other one just looked really goofy. So if you want to have an alternate way to display this piece, you can certainly do so. This is done very well. I like what they did overall, and this looks a little bit more like Hugh Jackman. The other one was really funny looking, and I think that was a criticism. Now, you do get two faceplates, and I don't want to say faceplates as I want to say they're attachments. So this actually hooks up into the upper jaw or mandibula, which is really weird, which means the actual head sculpt doesn't have a bottom half, so it's not just a magnetic faceplate. You got something that's a little bit more subdued, and then of course his grinning or yelling kind of motif, which is really cool. It's nice to have that, so if you want to get a little bit more aggressive, you can. Now, here is the kind of weird thing about this piece. So the arms are not really a problem, you know, there's some extra arms in place. You want to have him fully clothed, but this battle damage vest thing that they have, I think it was a little bit half-assed. It's so weird looking because it is just a really thin shell. It's kind of like a taco shell, and there, if you can see, it has these two little indentations or prongs, I want to say, and that's how they actually plug into the figure. But because of it, it's kind of floating in the air, and it looks really weird. I think they should have engineered this a little better. At least aesthetically it would have looked better, but they didn't. And of course you get two additional hands. These ones are the adamantium claws, or the hands that are retracted, which is you know, kind of interesting. It's really weird. This is all you get with this figure, so it is a little bit light in accessories, but nevertheless, if you want to have a pose where one of his adamantium claws are extended and the other one is retracted, you can certainly do so. I figured there would be more things with this figure, but hey, it is what it is, guys. It's still a magnificent figure nonetheless. It kind of goes without saying, and I really didn't have to think about this one too much when I saw it and took it out of the box immediately, but this is definitely and unequivocally a freaking legendary piece. It's just freaking awesome, guys. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. It's just really cool. I am a critic of the back thing, but nevertheless, it's still freaking awesome. The good outweighs the bad. So if you're a fan like me and you've been waiting for the cinematic version of the mostly 90s version of the costume, this is definitely the one to pick up. Alright everybody, so that's my official review on Hot Toys version of Wolverine from Wolverine and Deadpool, the 1/6 scale figure. As always, I thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next Route Desert Reviews.